what would you say was the biggest challenge? I mean, what was the biggest, like, you know, yeah, we're not happy, we want to be happy, but what was the thing where you really struggled, you know, with either existing clients or your team to make that change?
Which change? Like, there's only about 4 public pivots. There's probably like 2,000 private internal pivots. Sure. But I think along the way, the hardest things to figure out is to trust, to not talk yourself out of things. Anyone can walk in a room, myself, I can talk myself out of pretty much anything. But if I have data to back it, or if I've tested something, or if, you know, the team as a whole has something to prove the idea, then it's a lot easier to move forward with it. Don't be sort of scared of, even if you have existing users, don't be scared to piss them off necessarily if you believe there's something greater. Like our product right now, the Deals product, we're live in 100+ cities in 4 countries. We've got people on the ground and we've created jobs across the US. Like, we really help small businesses start. You know, we'll go to a sushi restaurant, and right after they've opened, we drive them 5,000 feet in their door. They don't pay us anything up front. We like shift the trajectory of their business from turn their Monday into a Friday. Like, that's cool. We talked about, like, you know, eco-friendly jobs. Well, I'm like helping small businesses across the country, like, do better. That's awesome. Like, that makes me happy. Someone posted on my Facebook wall recently that said, wait, you work for Living Social? You guys fuel my social life. Like, that's cool. That made me smile. Like, that's why I'm happy I pivoted. The other stuff, I didn't smile as much as I am now.
Just shut it out and smile.
If you do it at the same time, 2 things.
Justin, did you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, with the last set of products though, I mean, do you think there would have been a possibility there? I mean, like you, I was a user of the beer tracking application, and like, I mean, like, yeah, it kind of sucked because it was like, I invested, it was probably 80 or 90 beers.
I'll give you your data.
But is there
no, it's totally fair. It does suck. Like, there are unhappy people that have used our product. We have a few million people that still use our collection apps. So the bookshelf, they're still around. We don't really support them. We sort of fix them if they really break. There are people that still use them every day, so I don't want to turn them off. They still make more money than they cost to host, so we haven't really shut them off yet. And if anyone wants their data, there's really easy ways to export it. It's kind of like Facebook. If you want to leave, take all your data. If you like it, stay. So yeah, I mean, I'm torn, but literally no one on my team has touched that code in a year.
Wow. So that brings up an interesting point that we haven't really talked about, which
or maybe some people in the room that touch that code, but for bad reasons, not for code reasons.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I want to ask you to do with personal data. Facebook. I'm curious how do you guys say no? How do you tell these customers that, you know, we had this idea and you're not the right customer because there's more people that are interested in doing something else? How do you, I mean, all of you guys have started things and stopped things. How do you do that? How do you make your customers okay with that? And how do
you give them ways to find other options in reality, right? So when we stopped really actively supporting our collection apps, we sort of added features to let them take their data elsewhere, right? Because a collection app is like, you literally catalog all the books you ever read, all the books you want to read, all the books you're reading now. Like, people added tens of thousands of books to our system. Like, we've calculated how many hours they must have spent in front of the app, like clicking the button. Like, oh my God. So we gave them ways to take their data out. And there are plenty of other book sites on the web. We were the largest book site at the time on the internet, and that helped us get sort of some ad partnerships and some ad deals. But we decided to do other things. We just let them export their data and import it elsewhere.
What about other folks up here?
I mean, one way to do it is just price it out of their range, or say like
I say shit, and he says extortion, and I'm in trouble. Wow.
No, I mean, honestly, one of the products that Brain Trust has is called Tab. It lets you templatize your emails. So if you're starting a new company, you're trying to reach out to a ton of bloggers or something, you can use the same template over and over. So our natural thing that we get is like, hey, can I send it to 100 people? How about 200? Can we do 1,000? And it's like, well, at that point you're spamming. It's very different. And you know, the way we price the product is basically you pay more if you're going to be sending like 200, 300, 400 emails. Whereas you're much better off going with an alternative, which is really what we're trying to push them towards. But it's not really something we do, but an easier way to say it is like, look, it's really expensive and we don't really want to do it. But
I think there's a little difference between like, we don't want you to use the product this way versus you know, the way you're using it before, which we once supported, we no longer support. So I'm curious about that. I mean, you know, if we're using this word pivot over and over, it implies you're going one direction and then you go another. Like, well, what happened to Filtro, for example, Paul?
Well, I had a bunch of angry emails. So I made the mistake of not actually emailing anybody when I was shutting it down.
Listen to this man.
Lesson learned. So I just turned it off. And the next morning when I woke up, I was like, oh shit, my inbox was like, and this is like, there were probably 1,000 really engaged users.
Did you cash the check first that you got? Or?
They were just, it was really fascinating to me, like how, especially on the consumer side, like how much time people invest in apps. Like what he says about his book, you know, the books app, like I had no idea that people spend so much time. And now with like even the notary thing, like I was watching the logs before I came here today, and it's fascinating. Like I just imagine these old ladies sitting at home, and they will like nitpick the smallest goddamn thing and just like complain about it. But the point is, though, that like
these are real people.
They're real people,
and sort of treat them like real people. So one thing we did was we actually answer every email we get, even when we were building large Facebook apps.
Yeah.
And we did that because we're in DC by hiring interns.
Yeah.
Interns are awesome. They're not, and it has nothing to do with how much you pay them, even though they don't ask for a lot, but they just work really hard. They care. They get the social space. They get the consumer space. They're willing to take the time to answer people's emails. And then they treat people well. And they turn out to be really good full-time hires, if, you know, so, like, even if you're shutting people's stuff off, still answer the emails.
So that's actually specifically how I deal with the problem now, is that, like, you just have to answer every email. And this probably sounds really made up, and I assure you it's not, but, like, I've only ever had one guy that, like, I explained to him what we were doing with even the notary thing, for example, recently, and only one out of like 300 engaged users actually was pissed off. The rest of them kind of understood. I mean, some of them it took me like 2 minutes to just email them and say, this is why we believe we're making that change. So with Notary CRM, we actually pulled out invoicing. Like the way it works is it's much more hidden now. And only one guy complained. And he doesn't even pay. Like all the paying users are like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, we had a similar issue with non-paying users. They are the loudest. It's definitely, I guess the way to handle it, and I can say this because our head of community is here, but you have to, everyone here said the same exact answer, and it's just, this is the cost of doing business, is your businesses are people engaging people. So I think if you're going to make a change, engage the same people that you asked to bet on you before and tell them why. Give them an answer, do your best and within your means to give them an alternative, and that's the best you can do. I mean, we had some very interesting email experiences when we switched our platform. I think we had like hundreds of thousands of developers on our platform. They weren't thrilled, when we decided to switch directions. I mean, there was one guy who became like a cult figure in our company. His name was Digital Bob, and this guy was sending me like death threats and like commenting on my blog. Like he's the one guy. Like I think everyone here has one guy when you think about bad things happening, you remember that like I couldn't, I'd send him a long email personally, like Justin is like the nicest guy on the planet. For those of you guys who haven't met him, it's really hard to yell at him. And I think like this guy like really, like I think everyone in the company, it was at to a point where Justin said it's not worth engaging this guy. I'm like, what? That's like what you do. You love that stuff. So I think sometimes you have to, part of the cost of doing business and changing is, if there is a harsh reality to it, is not everyone's going to be happy with the change, but to the point is, just be transparent, let people know you're making the change. People are actually eminently rational, and I think they'll take the time to, when you take the time to like treat them like a human being and tell them what's going on, they may not love it, but they'll be like, okay, I get it, you're a